Let's make sure we both have no.
Do I have? Neither of us have.
Nothing. Oh, now it's.
There's no sound.
Let's see. I know how to fix this now.
Oh, good.
Did I do it?
Oh, look, you have a convenient mirror over there.
Yeah, if you need to check your behind the hairs. Okay.
Hello? Oh, really good.
Hello.
Sounds like it always sounds.
Hello. Okay,
You
that
sound
went too
good.
high, but
Well, that was really loud. You don't usually talk that loud.
not usually, but I might today.
That's true. Yes. I specially wore my Team Edward shirt.
Very good, very good.
Especially because I almost put on my werewolf puberty shirt or whatever. And I was in there with Ari and I was like, wait a minute, no. And I like took it off really fast and I was like, I have to wear my Team Edward shirt because in honor of everybody's boyfriend, Edward Cullen. Look at your book. I haven't seen.
I still have, so this part is still in my other book. I need to move them over, but there's...
Love it.
You can like barely see light through it if you look at it from the side. Also, there's so much cat furs.
That's amazing.
It's just a dark tunnel.
It's beautiful. You need to take a picture of that for
Everything.
Instagram or whatever.
Yes, yes.
All those things that we do.
Yep.
That you do, I should say.
I do them.
I'm gonna get back. Life is gonna get back.
Yeah.
My brain. I think I'm gonna start therapy.
Nice.
I really do. I
Great
need it.
stuff.
I need it so bad. All right. Kind of long, but I don't care. It can't be helped.
That's Midnight Sun in a nutshell.
I heard nothing, though I listened close beside where Jessica's frivolous internal monologue continued to gush. It was as if there was no one sitting beside her. How peculiar. Had the girl moved? That didn't seem likely as Jessica was still babbling at her. I looked up, feeling off balance. Checking on my extra hearing. It wasn't something I ever had to do. Again, my gaze locked onto those wide brown eyes. She was sitting right where she had been before and looking at us. A natural thing to be doing, I supposed, as Jessica was still regaling her with the local gossip about the Cullens. Thinking about us, too, would be natural. But I couldn't hear a whisper. Warm, inviting red stained her cheeks as she looked down away from the embarrassing gaffe of getting caught staring at a stranger. It was good that Jasper was still gazing out the window. I didn't like to imagine what that easy pooling of blood would do to his control. The emotions had been clear on her face, as if they were spelled out in words. Surprise as she unknowingly absorbed the signs of the subtle differences between her kind and mine. Curiosity as she listened to Jessica's tale, and something more. Fascination? It wouldn't be the first time. We were beautiful to them, our intended prey. Then, finally, the embarrassment. And yet, though her thoughts had been so clear in her odd eyes, odd because of the depth to them, I could hear only silence from the place she was sitting. Just silence.
Cue Cherish's song.
Cherish. Your song is so perfect. I know. I do know. Oh my gosh, Emily.
Oh my gosh, Maren.
Hi. That's me, I'm Maren.
Oh yes, I'm Emily.
And we are
Remember
Twilight. And you guys,
the day is finally here.
our dream come true.
We have been wishing upon every star.
Our literal most requested thing that we've ever requested.
Yes.
Midnight
We're
Sun.
holding Midnight Sun in our hands. I've finished reading it at this point, and oh my gosh.
I have fake finished reading it by reading every spoiler I could possibly read because it's been a slow time for me, but I cannot, you guys, this book is so good. It's literally, I mean, like, it's rare that you work yourself up for something and then you get it and it like exceeds every expectation.
Yeah.
This did.
Yeah. It gets an O on its OWLs. It's outstanding.
It is outstanding.
In every field. Like a farmer.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Edward just does not disappoint.
Here's the thing. Stephanie was so worried about people liking Midnight Sun because they would see like a new side of Edward Cullen, and I was like, this is the angel that has been in my head all this time. I don't feel any less about him. I just love him more.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's really an interesting anxiety for her to have, because that's what we needed as a collective society, was to see all of the good that Edward Cullen has inside of his heart, to see what a baby he is and what a wholesome angel he truly is, you guys.
Let's get the cry counter started.
Okay. One.
Okay, so it's been almost 2 weeks exactly since Midnight Sun got released, and 9 copies have already showed up to my house. The first ones that came were our signed copies, and so I very gently read the first 10 chapters.
I didn't even open it.
From that one.
My husband opened it and read the first page, and then I was like, will you please close that?
So it's now very gently over there with all its precious tabs. But then, a couple days later, we got our regular olds available, and this thing is tabs on tabs on tabs.
I cannot believe these tabs, Emily. How it looks like, for our people listening at home, it looks like every page has at least 4 tabs on it.
That's honestly not an understatement.
That's what it looks
Everyone
like to me.
has at least one. There's like very, very few that got by without a tab. But
I cannot believe these tabs. It's overwhelming.
I ran out of my regular tabs, and so then I just had to start cutting up regular sticky notes. So it's just like a schmosh of colors and lengths and sizes.
You need to show your mom. She would love this.
I will.
This is like, you guys, if anybody ever was like, I wonder what is so appealing to Maren about Emily, it's this kind of stuff. Like, just everything. Emily just, just like completely drowns herself in things that she loves. And this is no exception.
Yeah,
this is in fact the prime example of her being like, I love this thing, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. Let me start here.
Drown in lots of stuff.
Every page is just full of tabs. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. This thing is gonna look ridiculous when we finish.
And then, hold on, let me see chapter 1. Chapter 1 is all highlighted. It's got the tabs. It has a couple of notes here and there. Mine, every page, and I don't usually do every page, but every page has underlines and paragraphs that I've written and notes that I've written. So, good job, Edward Cullen. Good job, Stephanie Meyer. This is the content we've been waiting for.
It is. I don't usually tab books while I read, but I was like, this
you have to.
Is going to be the most special first read I ever have for the rest of my life. And I want to remember every sentence that stood out to me during this first read. And it's a lot.
You were thorough. You're a good student. You did a good job.
You.
We could do a master class on Midnight Sun.
We could. You can hire us. We'll come teach courses, online courses about Midnight Sun. Yeah, no problem.
Someday we'll do full 300 student lecture halls.
Oh yeah. 3,000 students, if you will.
We'll have Q&As for hours.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Me either. Other first impressions on Midnight Sun, just because I think it's a cool thing to be able to get to
let's do it.
Freeze in time, is that Midnight Sun is almost 2 inches taller than all the other books.
It's a tall boy.
She is so big.
It's I don't know why I just called it a boy, but then
I don't know,
immediately
mine's
called it a girl. He's very tall and very thick.
Like Edward himself.
Yes. He's a big boy.
inside cover is a beautiful dark red.
Ugh.
And then, you guys, you open up the pages, and you first get this picture of the marble statues. You get to look up one of their noses. They're looking at each other all nice.
So beautiful. That curly head right there, just looking down.
Such a curly
at
head.
his love.
And then you open up one more page, and you get your first cry of the book.
Wait.
Because of the dedication.
Is this Persephone and Hades?
No, it's someone else and someone else.
Oh, they're beautiful though.
Yes.
Yeah, the dedication. Are you kidding me? Did you cry?
Yeah.
Me too. Everybody else too, right?
Right? I mean, listen to this, you guys.
Can't.
I know you've already read it yourselves, but just listen again. This book is dedicated to all the readers who have been such a happy part of my life for the last 15 years. When we first met, many of you were young teenagers with bright, beautiful eyes, full of dreams for the future. I hope that in the years that have passed, you've all found your dreams and that the reality of them was even better than you'd hoped. Two cries.
That's so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And she really gets it. She really gets her fan base.
Mm-hmm.
She gets her readers. She understands what's happening here. I think that's another reason probably why it was so scary for her. That's a big risk to take to like 15 years later and be like, well, okay, I know how important this is to you, so here you go. Like, I wouldn't be brave enough to do that.
No way.
She's so brave.
With all the eyes of the world looking at
Every
your
eye.
work.
I can hardly stand the eyes of our listeners because I feel so nervous of disappointing people.
I know, I can barely stand the eyes of myself looking into this recording.
Your eyes look great. You have Bella eyes.
Thank
Chocolatey.
you.
I don't know.
Brown. And then we get to our table of contents, which...
Look how many
Midnight
chapters!
Sun got a couple few extras in here.
This is the first thing Emily said to me was, another complication?
Yeah. What could this chapter 13 mean? I was very excited.
We never got there before.
We didn't. Oh my gosh. And then we open it up to chapter 1.
Let's think of this. The first time we opened up Twilight to chapter 1, and it said first sight. And we were like, oh, cool, what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And now to see it again from somebody else's eyes, from somebody who we always wanted to hear his point of view and see what was his first sight.
Our angel.
It's really, really good.
Oh my gosh. I do remember the first time I read Twilight. It took me those first couple pages to really figure out what was going on, because it's just like, Bella, she's getting on a plane, she's going to see her dad. Like, it's just like very mundane, like, I am going to this place and I don't want to. And for Edward, it's like 1 second of nothing happening and then just an explosion of him.
He's so good.
So we pick up with Edward.
Just got chills and Emily just
I'm just gonna cry again.
Can we possibly
I don't
do
think
this?
we can.
You guys, we put it off even. We were gonna do it last week, right?
Yes.
And then we were like, no, let's wait until next week. And then we were gonna do 4 chapters, and we go last night or the night before. We were like, nope, we need to do this one chapter at a time the way we used to do it at the beginning because it deserves. It deserves it.
It does. Okay. We can do this.
We're both just crying.
Our babies need us to talk.
All right, we'll be strong for
Okay.
you. We love you.
We pick up with Edward at school during lunch.
He's so bored.
High school is literally hell.
Do you? Okay, I'm like, I would love to do it over and over again. I think it's because I really like high school stories. And that's one of the things about this story that I like is I love hearing, I've said this a million times, like I love hearing about teenagers and what they go through and what their lives are like. I would just, every time I do it, pick a new persona. One time I'm emo, one time I'm like preppy, one time I'm like whatever. So that'd be fun.
I find it interesting that they don't interact with any of the humans, because to me, if I'm this like long living, nothing changes for me vampire, how exciting would it be to know that I, during like the time frame of a year, could dramatically improve someone's life?
Honestly, and I mean, like, so all the things you could do to improve the school, to improve, I mean, they want to keep a low profile, but why not just, like, make things fun?
Yeah.
Like, you could be student body president sometime. Just, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I loved high school, though,
right.
so maybe I'm in the minority.
And
then in the very next one, we see why Bella and Edward truly are soulmates. They're both the opposite of me.
Right.
They both hate high school.
They hate high school. Edward considers going to school his form of sleeping because he doesn't have to think about anything.
He just zones out all day.
Staring at the wall.
So is this is his, like, however many times he's been to Forks High as a student, and this is his, like, stoner phase.
Oh, perfect.
He's being a stoner this time, where he's just like
zoning out all the time, counting bricks on the walls.
Yeah. That can be really fun when you're just a little bit under the influence.
Sure,
I'm not saying you should ever be under the influence.
Unless you want to.
I mean.
He is telling us about how he hears voices. It's like a babble of a river gushing inside of his head, and he's just trying to do his best to tune everything out because guess what? He's heard it all before.
Boring.
Nothing new. Everybody else in the school, though, is a buzz with some information because there's a new girl at school, and Edward's like, you humans are so stupid that you're excited about this.
He's like, she's super ordinary. Did you ever want to switch high schools to, like, just start over?
I mean, after we went to Forks that first year, I was like,
oh, yeah.
Perhaps I could be Bella.
Oh, that's true. We should have done it.
I should have moved to Forks.
I didn't have kids. We could have just done it.
Should have done it.
Dang it, we missed out.
Oh, well. I mean, this is okay. A good second to it.
That's true.
Edward is, of course, with his fam. The Blings are all here, and he tries to just not listen to them to be nice.
Yeah, he's a sweetie. And you know what? I love that Edward sees them as full brothers and sisters. Like, he doesn't say anything about how they're adopted or whatever. This is the first time we meet them, and he's like, my brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
2 of each. Yeah. Good pairs. But he can't completely shut his power off, so he does hear things anyway. For example, Rosalie. Rosalie, he says, was thinking as usual about herself because guess what? She was looking at someone's glasses and noticed herself, and she's like, I am literally perfect.
But wouldn't you?
Yes. That's the thing, is like, is it her just being like so vain and like, I am beautiful, or is she just like objectively being like, my features are perfect?
She's always just a little bit surprised that she's the most perfect looking. And am I ever... I'm a little nervous that I'm going to get sick of hearing Edward insult her.
Yeah, it's frequent.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Here's the thing that stood out to me about Rosalie. This isn't a spoiler for anyone who hasn't read the book all the way. It's just that Rosalie is the, like, perfect representation of Stephenie Meyer vampires. Mm-hmm. Because she got turned into a vampire when she was young and completely obsessed with herself. Like, it's not her fault that she got changed into a vampire before she could grow out of that.
Yeah.
And start to care about other people and, like, other things. She's just a product of the time and age that she was changed in. Okay. And I don't think Edward should keep pointing that out because it's not her fault.
Take it down a notch, Cullen.
Yes, right. Sir. Anyway. Emmett's also there. Edward is so cute. He's like, I don't care about listening to Emmett's thoughts because Emmett never would think anything that he wouldn't say out loud. And I'm gonna cry again.
This is 5, 6.
I don't.
It's been constant since we started.
It's just a very long one. Emmett, though, he's mad because he lost to a wrestling match with Jasper last night. Which I understand that's probably very aggravating. And then we have Jasper. And Jasper is a struggle.
Oh, I know.
As we know.
I know. Edward is just like, Do you think that he's sighing, like, out of sympathy, or, like, he's like, oh my gosh, Jasper, stop it?
Well, no, because he knows that Alice is gonna, like, be like, will you keep an eye on Jasper? And Edward's just like, that just means that I have to hear his internal struggles, too. So he's just, like, getting ready for it. Because at that moment, Alice thinks in her head, Edward. And Edward's like, yes, hello, but he doesn't say that. He just, like, I don't know, what's he do, like, wiggle his nose?
he just slight, like,
an eyebrow raise.
It's like you and me at any party or family dinner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. We learned that Edward and Alice are very used to conversing with each other without speaking aloud. Alice will think whatever thought she has, and Edward will like look around the room to indicate a shake of the head or a nod of the head.
I'll look at this corner. No, I'm gonna look at this corner. I'm just casually looking at corners.
There's lots of them in this room to look at. She asks how Jasper's doing. Edward frowns, and so then Alice gets worried, and she's like, okay, oh no, I need to do a vision check to make sure nothing's gonna happen. But Edward's like, it's okay, no danger. Jasper is just having a very hard time because he's still not used to not wanting to kill everyone.
Okay, something really struck me so hard when I read through this. There's a line where he goes, Jasper looked paralyzed, his lean form ramrod straight, even his honey hair seeming not to react to the air wafting from the vents. Emily?
Yes.
Is their hair hard?
Like Barbie hair?
Yes!
Or like Ken,
like Ken hair.
It's just plastic. They just mold it into the
How
shape.
could their hair still be flowy and soft if the rest of their body is like a rock? I broke out. I wrote it so big. Is their hair hard?
Bella touches Edward's hair all the time and doesn't say anything about it.
She doesn't say anything about it, but she
is being dazzled.
She also kisses him and hugs him, and he's a rock, a cold rock.
I feel like there still has to be movement, but maybe the strands themselves are like
fiberglass?
Yeah, like,
but they don't
you
make
can
it
move
itchy.
them and you can like put your fingers through them, but like
okay,
they're like kind of stiff.
I like this. I'm going with it.
Yeah.
I'm keeping it in my brain. It'll make me feel better.
Remember to ask Stephanie about that.
Okay. No, I'm too embarrassed to ask her anything like that. I am.
Okay. Tell me about vampire hair. Is it hard?
How much time do you have?
Honestly, too many questions to be summed up in a mere few. Okay, so Alice does her vision check. Edward is going to keep an eye on Jasper and let Alice know if he tries to eat anybody. And she says thank you for doing this.
Okay, and then he's like, what would I say? My pleasure? But then I'm like, there's other options. You could say, sure, no problem. You got
You're
it.
welcome.
Anything
Maybe.
for you. There are different things he could say.
Yes. And then Edward has this whole thought about, like, I don't even know why we try to make Jasper come to school. We should just accept that he isn't as good at not killing people as the rest of us and let him be the homeschooled one. Or, I don't know, just stop making records for him and let him live off the grid. Like, I don't understand why vampires don't just completely get out of the system.
I'm such a shrug about this, too, because I'm like, this is not necessary, and Edward's totally right.
The only one who needs records is Carlisle because he wants to keep working at the hospitals. But literally, the rest of the family does not need to go into the human eye. Like, there's no reason for anyone to know that they exist.
We'll see so many times, even in this first chapter, how hard they try to keep up this weird, unnecessary facade. And every time I'm like, but why? It doesn't make any sense.
I don't
First of all, I know that Jasper got turned into a vampire when he was also 17.
Yeah.
But he's like almost 7 feet tall.
I know.
He doesn't need to be in high school.
Literally.
It's so funny.
Okay, here's the other thing. So they always want to start out in high school so that they can stay in a place longer. However, people don't only go to college from like the time that they're 18 to the time that they're 21. Like, people stay in college for a long time.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even start college till I was 27.
Like, no one's gonna like bat an eye that like, oh, these guys are still in college. Like, people just go to college for a long time.
I went from like 27. I guess I only went for like 5 years, but it felt like a long time.
Anyway.
But yeah, you're totally right.
I love that they still want to try.
They're so sweet.
Those little angels. Oh. Okay, so it's been 2 weeks since we've gone on a family picnic. And for the rest of them, they're still okay. Like, sometimes if a human gets a whiffing scent to them, it's like a little uncomfortable, but they can deal with it. They're used to it.
Yeah, no biggie.
But for Jasper, 2 weeks is like,
we're
in the red right now.
I mean, honestly, they're cutting it close.
Yeah.
Oh man, we'll see.
Boy.
We'll see.
Jasper was very dangerous right now.
It's hot.
Ooh. Okay, just then, this girl walks to some table, and there's a whiffing scent which blows her smell right over to their table. And Edward describes what it feels like when they get a whiffing scent, which is that your stomach gets a yearn and your muscles tight, you get a little strep throat going on, and then the venom in your mouth becomes more than it usually is regularly.
That's so gross.
So they're just like salivating.
They're gonna throw up.
Right?
This sounds like they're gonna throw up.
Honestly, yeah.
This is how I feel right before I throw up.
I actually had to reenact it to make sure all aspects were covered, but it does. And Edward's like, NBD, this happens all the time. But now that I'm like keeping an eye on Jasper, it's doubled for me because I also hear him thinking all of these things too. And then Jasper starts a fantasy.
Uh-oh.
And he's like, I'm gonna stand up and go to that girl, and I'm just gonna lean right down in there.
How short do you think she is?
She's 5'3".
So he's like bending at the waist.
It's practically a curtsy.
Yeah. Good, I'm glad.
He curtsies down.
I couldn't imagine this lean.
To throat height, and just imagines what it would be like to put his mouth next to her blood.
And Edward is like, just soccer kick of his chair.
Yeah. Chair kick. Which, of course, then makes Jasper be a very shame.
He almost kills Edward in a sec. Right there. And then he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Edward's a shrug, though. And then Alice lies to Jasper and says, you wouldn't have done anything.
He was going to kill that girl.
He would have killed her.
She saw it all.
So, yeah.
Edward.
And Edward's like, yeah, you weren't going to kill her.
I'm glad you kicked his chair.
But he was.
Oh, man.
And then we learned that Alice and Edward protect each other's secrets.
Oh, they're sweeties.
They're the BFs. F. And then Alice walks Jasper through, an exercise that he can do, which is to think about her as a human. Her name is Whitney.
Instead of hamburgers?
I
have to do that all the time with cows. Like, on the road, I like drive past it. That cow loves carrots. And then I'm just sad.
So you don't get out of your car,
Yes.
you just go take a chomp out of the
Just
hind.
chop it off and grill it up right there.
A chomp and change, maybe.
A chop and grill.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. They're cows, not hamburgers.
But Jasper's just like, I know she has a family, Alice. And then he turns to brood out the window.
Aw, poor sweetie.
And then again, Edward's like, why are we even doing this?
It's truly, like, why not just hunt every single night? There's no reason not to, is there? It's not like the 7 of them are going to, like, decimate the bear population.
Right. Well, especially because we've learned this. This is a thing I know now, is it only takes like 2 animals for them to be like, okay, for another 2 weeks.
Right? So if you're having just like a tiny animal every night, you're good, right?
Yeah, I think so.
You're satiated.
Get some rabbits. Call it a day.
You don't have to just put it off and then gorge yourself. That's not healthy eating.
Yeah, you guys, 3 small rabbits a day. Your breakfast rabbit, your lunch rabbit, and your dinner rabbit.
Oh my gosh.
You know what makes them better?
What?
Potatoes.
What's taters?
Okay, something you don't know about us yet, you guys, is that we've had this pretend quarter jar.
At this point, I'm very angry that it's pretend.
It is pretend because we could be millionaires by now. We have this imaginary Lord of the Rings reference jar, and you have to pay into it anytime you make a reference.
It's been years too. It's been like 10 years.
Honestly, years. And the more emotional reference you make, the higher you have to pay.
Oh yeah, if you say something like, I can't carry the ring, but I can carry you, that's like $10. It's so much.
Regular ones, 25 cents
Quarter.
only. Just a quarter in the bucket. Anyway.
Tolkien jar.
Back to Edward.
Alright.
So, we get to learn this really cute thing. Alice gets up and leaves. And Edward's like, Alice and Jasper knew each other's every need as well as their own, as if they could read minds too, but only each other's. That's cute.
That's so cute.
Are you kidding?
I love them.
They're cute.
I mean, she waited for him in that cafe for days.
She had to get a part-time job there so they wouldn't be suspicious about how much time she would spend. That would be so cute. I can totally imagine Alice on roller skates working at a diner.
Oh my gosh. Just
for
flitting
fun.
around. Yes.
Yeah. Like her
my
college job.
That's so cute.
Think of the outfits she would make for that.
So cute. The shortest skirts.
Sparkle
the
tights.
hats. Oh my gosh, sparkle tights. Yes.
I'm just saying. Okay. And, okay, so then someone else in the cafeteria thinks Edward. And so he turns to see who's thinking about him, and he immediately...
Do you think he does that every time somebody
Yes.
thinks about him?
Edward.
And then he's like, I don't know why the humans are all afraid of us. Like, stop looking at them every time they think about you. That's the weirdest thing you could possibly do.
Do you think anyone's ever, like, kind of caught on to that? And so every time they see Edward, they just think Edward and, like, wait for him to look at him.
I hope so. I would totally play that game. Oh, that's hilarious. Here we go.
Anyway,
what happens now?
He turns his head and he immediately locks eyes with a pair of large chocolate brown human eyes set in a pale, heart-shaped face.
It's his first sight. And it's a beautiful sight. You know what? I almost forgot about Bella.
Honestly, she is very secondary to me at this point.
I was so into this, like, the Cullens and the stories and what was happening, and then he's like, I saw this girl, and I was like, oh my gosh!
Bella!
It's Bella!
Bella's here. Remember her?
I remember her.
Remember Twilight?
I really, like, forgot about her completely, though, until that moment.
So he's looking at her and he's like, new girl. Seen her face 100 times, different angles, all day long. This is the girl everyone's obsessed with. Old news. Don't care about her. But he's like, hold on. It wasn't this new girl who thought my name. And then Jessica thinks something else and he's like, it was Jessica. And you guys, I don't know whom amongst us likes Jessica, but she is not great. I'll say it again.
She's really rude, incredibly rude all the time.
Yeah,
it's kind of excessive.
Yeah.
Are people really this rude constantly?
I don't know, but I feel like they are. there's mean girls out there who do think like this.
I don't want to be friends with any of them.
Me either.
Yuck.
And Edward's like, oh, great. It had been a long time since I had to deal with Jessica thinking about me, and yet here we are again. Excuse you.
Meowfoy is so jealous of Midnight Sun.
She just laid completely, entirely upon my book.
The most jealous she's ever been.
This isn't gonna fly. Okay. And he especially doesn't like it when Jessica starts thinking about him because she starts fantasizing.
See, that I understand.
Yes.
I fantasize a lot.
A lot.
The rude I don't get, though.
No. Because she's like, listen to this. She's not... Oh. Listen to this. She's really not even pretty. I don't know why Eric is staring so much. Or Mike.
Jessica, first of all, not everything has to be a competition.
Yeah.
With another girl.
Nothing
That's
needs
completely
to, actually.
Yeah, nothing.
Never.
Literally nothing. How about instead of like trying to go out of your way to make a problem and a competition, we all lift each other up and we all support each other and we realize that we're all awesome for what we can contribute. So instead of being like, gosh, she's not even pretty, how about you can just like change your mindset? You know that you can do that, where you can just be like, actually, she's really pretty. Look at the shape of her face and look at her gorgeous hair. No wonder he's looking at her. She's really pretty.
Yeah.
Let's see if maybe we can talk to him, both of us.
Maybe we can get a throuple going.
Something. Instead of like fighting all the time and trying to whatever, just
here's also the thing, dear high schoolers. None of the boys in your school are cool.
No.
It seems like they are because you have to spend all your time with them and they're the only ones that you look at on a daily basis, but they're not. They're not great. Just know that they're not worth it. The friendships you can make with other women in your school are going to be far better and more important than
Emily's right.
the boys.
Emily's right, and let's just work on those. And if you could hear what these boys were thinking about, you'd be so bored and so grossed out.
Yeah,
That you'd be like, oh, no, never mind.
Just kidding. I just want you to notice this chunk of fur that's sitting in my book now.
That's so big.
Yeah.
If I was a kid and I saw that, I would call it Superman, because I called any flying thing Superman when I was a kid.
Cool.
It came right back to her. It's on her back.
Oh my gosh. It's like a magnet.
It went home.
It docked. How long has it been already? We're at page 6.
That's fine. That actually happened to me when I was taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
I was on page 3 of notes, and I realized I'd been doing it for like almost an hour. And I was like, oh crap, how long is this chapter? And then I was like,
pages.
oh, every chapter is going to be like this. I need to give myself more time to do them.
Yes. That's why we are doing 1 chapter per week. Hopefully.
Oh man.
Okay, so he infers that the new girl must have asked about us, and that's why Jessica's thinking about me again. And so he just tries to shut out all the thoughts again. But then, oh no, he... So he goes back to ignoring everyone and turns to Emmett and tells him that Jessica is giving the new Swan girl all the dirty laundry on the Cullens.
She's just telling her about all of us living together in the same house.
They're like together.
It's weird.
Emmett laughs at this, hopes that she's coming up with something good, and Edward's like, no, nothing good. Not even any horror.
No, just weird stuff.
And then it's really interesting. Everybody talks to Edward in their head, whether or not they need to. Like, this conversation that he's having with Emmett could be spoken, but instead Emmett just thinks back to Edward.
Yeah, I like it. Mm-hmm. I would too. God, if I never had to talk to you, you would be so annoyed with me. You would
if distance didn't matter, you'd just be thinking a stream of thoughts to me.
Yes.
Same.
I'd be like, If you guys knew what I was just thinking. It was all to Emily. She didn't hear me, though. She's not Edward.
Don't remind me.
And guess who else doesn't hear anything?
Edward.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Emmett thinks to Edward, like, what does she think of us? And so he goes to try and listen to her, but that's what he heard. Nothing.
I heard nothing.
Literally nothing. He looks at her and he, turns his hearing back on to make sure he can hear everyone else. And he can. And then these wide brown eyes look back at him. And he's like, there's nothing.
Nothing.
Are you guys hearing? There's nothing.
Nope, not from Bella.
Zero.
No way.
Couldn't hear a whisper. And then Bella blushes.
No, stop it.
And
Bella.
he's like, I'm glad that Jasper is still a brood of the window because that cheek looks delicious.
Just take a chomp right out of that cheek.
Yeah, like an apple. Like a twilight apple.
Good point.
Malfoy, do not bite baby kitten when
Leave
he
him
wants
alone.
a
He's an
snack.
angel.
Do you know how frequently Malfoy gets a claw stuck in his thigh?
That's so rude.
I'm like, I need to buy baby some jean pants so that she can't stick her claw in his
Okay,
leg.
but would his jean pants go up over the forelegs and around his body, or would they go up over the back legs and over his tail?
So here's what I'm thinking, is it's going to be like cowboy chaps. Just on the back legs.
Okay.
So it protects the outsides from the
Right,
claw,
just on the sides.
but then he can poop freely with
Thank
no
goodness.
problems.
I do get nervous about either of those options that I gave you because where does the poop go?
It goes in the pants. And that's not ideal for anybody. Back to Edward.
This is the weirdest episode we've ever done.
I hope this is a lot of people's first.
Oh my gosh.
If this is your first episode, send me an email.
Imagine showing up for this. And welcome.
I would be there.
Me too.
Okay.
I would listen to us from the beginning over and over though. That's me. I do actually.
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna
fine.
say that happens. Okay, so he looks at her and he's like, okay, she very much is looking surprised and also like a little fascinated because
Attracted.
we are beautiful, of course.
It takes him the longest time to figure out that she's attractive.
Oh my god, he doesn't figure out that until. And also that she's a little bit embarrassed. And he's like, okay, I can see all of these things happening to her, but still, I get nothing from her brain. It's just silence. Edward feels a puke in his belly.
And it's not from the blood smells.
No.
He's never been vulnerable before.
Nope. So then he's like, okay, well, can I hear everyone else? And he like turns his brain dio back on.
He made me burp. I was laughing so hard.
And he like tunes into Mike, and Mike is thinking about maybe giving Bella a mixed CD. And then he goes over to Eric, and Eric is like, why does Mike look at her? Mike could have any other girl he wanted. And then he listens to Lauren, and she's like, Bella's so disgusting. You'd think that she was famous. Even Edward Cullen is looking at her. And then he listens to some girl named Ashley, and Ashley is like, oh, I want to talk to Bella. And some girl named June is like, maybe me and Bella will have Spanish together. And then Angela, the angel, is just thinking about her homework.
And her mom, like, I hope my mom doesn't have such a hard time at the grocery store today. I'm imagining that's the end of her sentence.
At the grocery
She's so
store.
sweet. Sometimes it's hard to go to the grocery store when you have two little kids.
Yeah.
You know?
But nothing from Bella.
No, he's like all of these insignificant, which is rude, things that people are thinking, but nothing from her.
Nope. Then Bella talks to Jessica, and you can hear her talking at least.
In her low voice. I'm so glad that having a low voice is canon. Because I've been doing the like low Kristen Stewart voice from the beginning, and I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Bella actually has a low voice.
Yes. Which one is the boy with the reddish brown hair? That was the most ugly thing I've ever said on this podcast, and I want to say sorry. I know I already talk in a low voice, so that was just one step too far.
I'm incapable of making a low voice, so I'm glad you did it.
And Edward's like, yeah, nope, that voice is new. I've never heard a thought in that voice before.
Yeah, I love that he just does a long stare and doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, long stare, don't care.
Yeah.
He's just... to the point where she is like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
And then Jessica first thinks to herself, oh, good luck, idiot.
Rude!
But then says out loud, that's Edward. He's gorgeous, of course, but don't waste your time. He doesn't date. Apparently, none of the girls here are good looking enough for him.
Oh, honey, it's not about looks.
Nope. Edward has to turn to hide his smile at this because he's like, Jessica, if only you knew what would happen if I did like any of you. Instant death. Instant kill. And then Edward has this feeling, and he isn't so sure about why he's feeling this feeling. And maybe it's because Jessica's so mean, or maybe it's just, I don't know, but I really want to shield Bella Swan.
And he goes, what an... Yeah, shield.
Shield Bella Swan.
Emily.
She don't need that, bro. She already got her shield.
She truly does. And then he's like, what an odd thing to feel. And I'm like, that's just literally empathy, Edward. It's empathy when you see somebody hurting and you're like, I want to protect them because that's not okay, because I don't think that they would like to feel that feeling.
Yeah. I mean, you can feel empathy for cows, right? If there was like a cow in danger.
I would protect that cow.
Yeah.
Because it's delicious.
Exactly.
So he's going to protect Bella because she's delicious.
Yes. Nope, we'll save that for later.
He doesn't understand this feeling because she's a human. He hasn't ever felt this way about a human before.
Mm-hmm. He thinks maybe it's just some like old human thing kicking in about wanting to protect the less or more fragile people in the world. And then we get one of my very favorite observations that I learned, that Edward Cullen can literally see people's blood moving through their bodies.
Is this... I know that this is like a vampire thing, but they like have see-through vision, like X-ray vision, like Superman?
No. Bella's just so pale that like you can see her, like you and I could see her veins through her skin, which, I mean, we live in Utah. That's most people we run into, is you can see some veins on them somewhere.
Yeah.
But Edward's heightened sight can see like
he can see like the blood
veins.
flowing.
Yes.
It's so cool. What does he say exactly? Her skin was so translucent it was hard to believe it offered her much defense from the outside world. I could see the rhythmic pulse of blood through her veins under the clear pale membrane.
So he just sees like this like steady like
It's so
flowing
cool.
through her. Whoa. I love it. Also, we get the very first mention of a faint crease between her eyebrows.
That's really cute.
He notices this little eyebrow crease daily,
Yeah.
hourly practically, and mentions it often. He notices that Bella's uncomfortable sitting here talking to all these new people. He's like, she's probably shy.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yes.
In all my readings of Twilight, shy was never really a word I would have used to describe Bella. Do you think she's shy? I've never thought she was shy.
No, but
It's just not a word I thought of
yeah. So
to describe her.
because me and Bella are practically identical,
Yes. No, that's true.
I understand why people would assume that she is shy, just because she's very like quiet and nervous around people. Which I get, a lot of people would call me shy when really it was just
No,
like I'm
that's
internally
true.
panicking.
I've had to like defend your like not shyness a million times, where people are like, oh, Emily's so shy, she never talks, and I'm like, Emily's not shy. Like, I've said that to so many people where I've been like, she's not shy, she just doesn't talk to you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how I feel like he's totally misinterpreting her, like, posture and her actions as shyness when it's not that
it's
at all.
just anxiety.
Yeah.
It's just nervousness and feeling like everyone's looking at you and expects you to be something that you don't think that you can deliver on, and it's this whole thing. So guess what, guys? He still can't hear anything from her.
Well, and then he's like, why? And I just wrote, she's special.
Yeah, she is.
Did you get nervous?
What are you gonna bite or throw on the floor?
Or drop and then fall and then knock.
Yeah, why? That doesn't have food in it. You know, it looks like,
I keep burping.
She's like a dinosaur. The velociraptor loose on the desk.
Just stalking her prey, which is the cords.
Do not step.
If you guys could see this cat.
Yeah, boy, come here. Yeah, good girl.
What a sweetie. It's so confusing. The cords are confusing.
We're already almost to an hour. Okay, we gotta
No way, we can do 2 hours.
get back on track.
Got 10 pages, 13 pages left. It's fine.
Okay. Edward is being very bored about not being good at reading Bella's mind, so he's like, I'm just gonna drop this. I feel weird that I can't read her mind, but I will eventually. I'm gonna find a way to do it, but it'll not be worth it because she'll just be thinking the same thing as everyone else does.
I thought about that for a long time when I read that line, because I was like, I don't think that Bella does think the same things that everybody else thinks, but she does.
Yeah, she does.
She's pretty normal.
Thinking about Eric's bad skin.
Yeah.
And how she can't remember anybody's names.
And so I didn't write anything because I was like, I don't have anything to, but I really do, because she kind of is normal. She is a normal thinker, and she has a lot of just normal teenage thoughts. And I think he kind of like works up this thing when he gets to know her where he's like, she's not normal, but she kind of is. And I kind of like that too, because then she gets to be normal without him knowing it and hearing it.
Yeah. Emmett asks again, like, well, is she scared of us? And so Edward just shrugs because he doesn't know. We learned the setup in which Emmett, Rosalie, and Jasper are seniors right now.
Good, because Jasper's so tall.
He's so tall. Emmett's huge.
Emmett's so big. Rosalie's so beautiful. It's really uncomfortable. Get them out of there.
Yes. And Edward and Alice are being juniors. So Edward heads off to junior level biology. And Edward thinks to himself his very first Edward brag, in which he goes, it was very doubtful that Mr. Banner, the idiot among the teachers, would manage to pull anything in his lecture that I, a 2 medical degree man, wouldn't already know.
This was so arrogant. First of all, I was like, lay off Banner. I love Mr. Banner. He's great. And then I was like, Edward brag? It just felt different somehow. Bella brags in such a like non-braggy way, and Edward was just like, I could teach this class in my sleep.
He could. He isn't wrong.
No, he's right.
So Edward goes to class, sits down. He just dumps his whole backpack out on the table.
I guess. Why?
He calls them props. And then he talks about how scary he is and how humans don't really recognize that they're afraid of the vampires, but they instinctually do know deep down in their bones that they are.
Okay, and then I had a feeling where I was like, wait a minute, and I looked through all my pages that I had already read, and I went, if I didn't know what was happening, would any of this make sense to me?
Here's a tidbit I have for you guys. I am doing a book club with one of our listeners and some of her friends, and we just did our meeting on the first chapter a couple days ago, and it's our friend Riley. We have lots of Rileys on
We
the
have
podcast.
several Rileys.
We collect the Rileys. So one of our Rileys invited me, and she has this friend named Hannah who doesn't listen to the pod yet. Maybe we'll convince her. But Hannah has never read Twilight or seen any of the movies. And she said to me that Edward came across as so arrogant.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's never something that I would go into reading Midnight Sun thinking, just because I know Edward to my core.
Yeah.
But it took me a second to like have to step back and be like, yeah, he just does talk about how good he is at everything and how much better he is at everyone. But it's not like bragging to me. It's just just stating facts.
I didn't realize his arrogance until that very last one that we talked about, him bragging. But then I just was like, I think I would be like, what the heck is going on here? Like, I would be so confused.
Yeah.
So far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and she was like, do all vampires hear thoughts, or is it just Edward? Like, she was like...
I love that.
It was so cool to hear her initial reaction.
Yes, I love it.
As everybody starts coming into the classroom, Edward's like, I really wish I could just take a nap right now. And then, because he's thinking about Bella...
Yourself.
Goodness. Because Edward has Bella on the brain, as soon as Angela walks in with her and says her name, or no, Bella thinks,
Nope, Angela
thinks about Bella and how she seems shy like her, and like, I bet today's really hard for her. Maybe I should say something, but no, it'll probably just sound stupid. And then Mike also is thinking about Bella. And Edward then is like, am I losing my powers?
It kind of is a scary thought, though. I mean, it's really scary to have this cool thing and then be like, crap, am I just losing it completely?
Yeah. He's like, I've never heard of such a thing, but I'm going to talk to Dad. I'm going to ask Carlisle if he knows anything about this. Bella walks over to the teacher's desk because, if you remember, Bella has this stupid slip of paper she has to have all the teachers sign.
It doesn't. It's so dumb. It's like, that's really, really cool for like a third grader. But even third grade is too old to have to like bring around your tracker.
Honestly. Malfoy's chewing on something.
Oh, Malfoy, come on.
Yeah,
we didn't want to lock you
important.
away. I'm going to use this moment to get myself some M&Ms. We didn't want to have to do it, Kitty.
She made it an hour at least. Okay. Do.
Alright.
Do.
We're almost to a whipping scent.
Almost.
You know what I realized when I was reading through all of our episode titles is most of them are Midnight Sun specific.
That's true. We only have ever cared about Edward.
So all the teachers have to sign her tracker.
Ugh, yeah.
I hate it.
And then Edward's like, oh no, the only empty seat is a seat next to me. Poor girl. She's in for a long year. And then Bella steps in front of the heater.
No.
Which, it took me until this very one precise exact moment just now to realize how weird it would be for them to have a fan at the school, like the movie.
Like, it's is it March?
Yeah.
And it is very cold outside.
Yeah, why would you have a fan?
And it's raining, and everybody's wearing raincoats.
Movie people.
And they put a fan in the room.
It's a heater, obviously.
Obviously a heater. It has to be a heater.
Duh. Wow.
And a heater would amplify the scent, too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, she walks in front of the heater. And
You're going to have to
then-
fix your sticker.
I will, yes. Well, it can be a movie sticker. That's just
True.
And then everything for Edward changes, and he will never be the same.
That's it.
Because
The whiffing scent.
Bella's blood smells delicious.
Guys, I love a tortured Edward.
He has a hard time these next 20
Really
pages.
beautiful.
Her scent hit me like a battering ram, like an exploding grenade. There was no image violent enough to encompass the force of what happened to me in that moment.
Oh, honey.
Instantly, I was transformed. No trace of the shreds of humanity I'd managed to cloak myself in over the years remained. I was a predator. She was my prey. There was nothing else in the whole world but that truth.
Very cool, Edward.
You
Cool
okay
flex.
there, dude?
No, he's not okay. Edward is not okay.
Sounds pretty intense. Oh, man. Edward already... Nobody else in the room matters. They're all dead already. Not literally, but to him, they're all dead. And he finally calls himself a vampire. It's our first vampire mention in the book. And Bella's blood smells so good.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if I knew that someone could smell like that, I would have been running around the world sniffing this whole time.
Just, wow.
Carlisle, can
love
you
the
drive
thought.
me down the coast? I'm just going to stick my head out the window and sniff like a dog.
Oh, man.
Oh man, and if she smells that good, imagine what she would taste like.
Uh-oh. Edward.
The venom is flowing. The fire of the throat has begun. Bella is still taking the same step.
She's not even put her foot down
No.
from walking. Oh my gosh, Edward.
And then Bella looks over at Edward, and from across the room, he can see his reflection in her eyes. And
So
he's
cool.
like, I look scary. And that makes him stop for a second, because this is a face that he has worked for so long to control. And now he sees it just in full display in this girl's face who looks very scared of him. And so the combination of seeing these two images at the same time is like, oh,
This girl who is like, I smell fine.
I smell like beef. That's what the cat would be thinking to you when you looked at it like this.
I smell like beef. I'm not gonna do the whole thing.
I smell like beef.
I smell like beef.
And then Bella blushes because Edward Cullen is looking at her, looking like he wants to throw up.
She smells like strawberry shampoo. Leave her
She
alone.
smells fine. She gets all flustered though, and then she falls into the girl.
She's not clumsy. I hate that he calls her clumsy. She's a little clumsy.
nervous.
She's just nervous. It's hard to walk.
I can completely imagine falling on top of someone because I was nervous, and it's not a great feeling.
Okay, but I'm just gonna, in defense of Bella, and remember when you were growing, and every time you would get a new pair of shoes, you would just trip all the time.
Yeah.
I would, and especially if it was like a big pair of boots. So she's just gotten there like the day before from Arizona. This is a girl who wears nothing but flip-flops every day,
Yeah.
right? She's
Yeah.
just wearing a real thin flip-flop. And now she has to wear these like boots, and she doesn't wear they're not just like rain boots, they're like
Rain boots.
yeah, they're like reinforced hiking lace-up furry boots.
Yes, yes.
It's very hard to walk in those the first time you try them.
Yeah. I mean, I had to wear just regular old rain boots to Disneyland one time, and my knees hurt so bad from lifting those boots all day.
Yes,
it's hard.
It's so hard.
Anyways, Edward's like, okay, I need to just focus on my monstrosity that's inside of me.
Baby, he's so hard on himself.
Because I've spent so many years prepping for a moment like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is exactly what we try to avoid. But then her scent is all swirly in the air, and his thoughts become swirly in his head, and he almost gets out of his seat, and then he says to himself, no.
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 Mm-hmm. Good job.
You did it. Edward breaks the table like we knew he was. I love, if you'll remember, I don't know why I always remember, but I always remember that I called it the equipment in our first episode, so he's breaking the school equipment again.
That's so funny.
And he notices that he just left the hand mark in the table, so then he has to break it more so no one can tell that it was a hand mark.
I love it so much.
And then there's this pile of wood on the floor, and he has to like scoot it around with his foot so you can't see it. It's this whole thing.
He's such a sweetie. Oh.
But he is pretty much made up his mind about what's gonna happen, and that is that he is going to kill Bella, and he's going to kill everyone who sees him kill Bella. He's not thrilled about it, but it's gonna happen. He's kind of sad because he's never killed innocent people before, and now there's 20 of them here. What a kerfuffle.
I mean, it's so hard.
Mm-hmm. I find it very interesting that Edward thinks of his vampireness as like a separate entity that is inside him, and not as himself. Like, he constantly refers to these like dark urges as his monster, the monster.
It's the monster, and it reminded me of Angel. Angel thinks of the vampireness as a demon.
Yeah.
And that is Buffy lore, is that it's a demon inside of the human body.
Yeah.
And so since Angel gets his soul back, it's two different beings, and that's Edward too, and I love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. So then we get into his plan of, okay, so I could kill Bella, and then it's only going to take him like maybe 20 seconds to realize that I killed her, and then everyone's going to start like running around and screaming. It'll be this whole thing. I'm gonna have to keep them all in here though, and it's gonna be too hard that way.
I feel
too
like
much scrambling.
This classroom is such a fire hazard.
There's only one way out.
The windows are too high and small to provide an escape for anyone. Just the door. Block that and they're trapped.
That's true.
That's not safe.
No.
They gotta get out of the windows.
You gotta if there's a fire.
I can't.
And a vampire. So he nixes that idea, and then he's like, okay, so first everybody else, and then Bella, and okay, so I'm sitting in the middle of the room. I can take my right side first, 5 nicks per second, work my way back up the other side. You know, it'll take me like,
that's so fast.
15 seconds total, and everyone's dead, and then
Edward,
I can have Bella all to myself without worrying about anything.
He says something. He goes, someone would hear and I'd be forced to kill even more innocents in this black hour, which I think is a really cool like album name.
The Black Hour.
This black hour.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want Edward, and I know he does, but I'm like, think of Carlisle.
Oh my gosh, we'll get there.
I know.
Give me another page.
I know, I'm just so nervous.
So, Edward takes another deep breath like a freaking idiot and gets this thirst fire going up again. And Bella still hasn't even sat down next to him.
Bella.
She's still
sweetie.
like getting up off of this other girl. Saying, I'm so sorry.
Like, can she even say sorry?
No, you just blush and run away. Conveniently, though, someone shuts their folder, and we get a clean whiff of a scent over to Edward.
Thank you, whoever did that.
Yeah, he finally gets like a clarity in his head, and he's like, okay, now I have an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other. And the devil on my shoulder is just myself. It's that red-eyed monster inside of me. But listen, dear readers, I was an okay killer. I was the killer of the killers. You know, I wasn't a full-blown killer back then.
You killed those bad guys.
Yeah, but the angel on his shoulder is Carlisle.
That's the guy.
And this whole page is just the cutest thing I've
It's
ever read.
really, really sweet.
And he's like, they don't look the same. It was brightest day and black as night. And also, there's no reason they should look the same because Carlisle's not my bio dad. And also, anything that we do have in common is just vampire similarities and not like characteristics. And yet, though there were no basis for resemblance, I'd imagined that my face had begun to reflect his to an extent in the last 70-odd years that I had embraced his choice and followed in his steps. My features had not changed, but it seemed to me as though some of his wisdom had marked my expression. A little of his compassion could be traced in the set of my mouth, and hints of his patience were evident on my brow.
It's like when couples start to look alike.
Or owners and their pets.
Yes, exactly.
A different type of coupling.
Oh, it is the cutest thing. It's so, so sweet.
Edward loves Carlisle so much.
They're such a, like, bonded pair. I love them.
They're too much for me.
I know.
But all those little similarities are gone now because he's full monster. And in just a couple seconds, nothing left in me that would reflect the years I'd spent with my creator, my mentor, my father, in all the ways that counted. My eyes would glow red as a devil's. All likenesses would be lost forever.
And yet, Carlisle would still love him.
He's still your dad. You're
Carlisle,
still his baby.
Carlisle just embodies that pure parental love that everybody yearns for.
Yes, just completely unconditional.
I love it.
Me too. And this is what really starts to help Edward like get a hold on the situation because he wants to prove Carlisle right. He wants to live up to the person that he knows that Carlisle thinks he can be. And then so he turns his his thoughts towards just hating Bella.
Yeah.
She's like, why is she here? She's gonna ruin me. I don't want to be this monster. She can't make me.
Well, I mean, you guys are meant to be. Sorry.
Yeah. He's like, okay, I know her smell. That's what's triggering me. So I just need to not breathe.
Why did it take him so long to realize this?
It's only been
It's
3
been 3 seconds. That's long enough.
He had to plot that whole murder out first.
Oh, man.
Bella shakes her hair out and he just thinks, was she insane?
She doesn't know.
So Edward just holds his breath and immediately is like, thank God.
Dumb.
But I can still remember it, and that's also going to be a problem. So he considers to himself that he should run.
Okay.
But he doesn't trust himself to, move because he might just kill her if he does.
It just seems so silly to stay there. He's like, I cannot move a single muscle or I'll attack her, but I don't think you will.
If you guys remember, Edward is on the extreme edge of his chair right now.
He's got 1 inch of his butt.
Barely hanging on.
He's all the way over. Just that much is covered with butt.
Yes.
The rest is off.
It's basically just hip on the chair at this point.
I remember. Back in the day.
So he doesn't trust himself to do anything, and he's like, okay, this class is 1 hour, Edward. We can make it through an hour.
It just seems unnecessary. Get up and leave.
He does not trust
I know.
himself.
He thinks if he moves, he's just... No.
If he moved fast enough and just jumped out the window, though, they would be like, did you guys see that huge bird that just...
Someone would be like...
ran into the window?
Was it the Mothman? It was the Mothman.
Do you think Edward Cullen is the Mothman?
Yes.
Huh.
Into it.
Okay. Okay, so Edward, He's just like, okay, I can make it through this hour. Just don't think about her. It'll be fine. Which we've all been there.
Oh, yeah.
When you have this class that just seems like it is so unbearable and like it's going to take all of your strength to like sit through this one class. Of course, we're not thinking about murder, but like Edward, everyone's been there. It's okay.
Yeah. We've all hated high school this much.
Yep.
At least once.
Bella's keeping up her hair curtain between the two of them. And so Edward just continues to hate her because that's easier than wanting to kill her. And then he accidentally starts to plan the murder for after class. In which he'll just be like, hi, my name is Edward Cullen. Can I walk you to your next class?
Oh, please.
And she'd be like, yes, I love you already.
And then he's going to be like, oh, I forgot something in my car. Come with me?
Will you help me put my boat into my car, please?
My kayak is, I can't, and my leg is broken. This is just Ted Bundy.
It's so Bundy.
It's so gross.
It's
and
so
I literally wrote, why would she go with you to your car? And then I thought of all those babies that went with Ted Bundy to his car.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, she would.
She would.
She's so good. She would go with him. Oh, it's so scary.
Yes.
Edward, stop it.
However, we are saved, surprisingly, by Mike. Because Edward knows that Mike is cataloging every inch that Bella moves and everything she is doing. And so he's like, that wouldn't work. Everyone's looking at her. Could I make it 2 hours?
Listen.
To the end of the day?
1 hour at a time, Edward. Sometimes you
Yeah.
have to go 1 hour. Sometimes 1 minute. It's fine.
It's
Whatever you
fine.
need to do.
Yep.
We're behind you.
Yes. Edward thinks about what Bella's going to be doing after school, though. And he's like, she's going to go home to that empty house. And I already know where that house is because, I don't know, that I almost called him the piece of Chalif again. The chief. He works a full day.
Okay, I do not like this foreshadowing at all. It makes me very nervous. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I hate Edward thinking about how close that house is to the woods.
Yeah. It's just right there on those woods.
Oh.
And then Edward decides that that's the responsible way to kill Bella. Is alone at her house where he doesn't have to kill anyone else.
No, the responsible way would be to not do it at all. Edward Cullen.
No, he's not got there yet.
Okay.
We're slowly surfacing out of the murder.
Okay.
We're like 1 level deep now.
Oh my gosh.
And then Edward's like, okay, I don't really hate her, I hate me.
Ah, yeah.
Yep. And then he just thinks about all the different ways that he could kill her when she's alone at her house, and
I hate it.
that he gets through the hour thinking about that, which I really do want to know all the ways he thinks to kill her.
Oh my gosh, Edward.
So he planned just strategy and nothing more. And at this point, I just wrote in my book, Alice.
I know.
You can't even check in on Edward for 1 second.
Alice.
Alice.
Alice Cullen. Where are you at? Alice!
Where are you?
Alice! You know what, though, and I talk about this eventually in this chapter.
Okay.
But I'm like, Alice, if he ever had fully gotten there, she would have come.
You think?
I do. I think it would have broken through what she was doing.
Yeah. Well, just because her and Edward are so in tune with each other,
I really do.
Class is almost over, and then guess what? Frickin' Bella has to open up her hair wall to look at him and blush at him again, and he almost had to start back at square one.
But luckily.
We get a cool reference from Edward here, because the bell rang, and
It's alright, 'cause I'm saved by the bell.
How cliche. She from death, I for just a short time, being the nightmarish creature I feared and loathed.
Oh my goodness.
Edward springs out of the room so fast.
So awkward.
And he runs to his car.
Yes, get in there, turn on that calming CD.
You guys,
Get her going.
I can't tell you the joy I felt in my heart when I learned that the Calming CD was now canon.
That was literally the first day that this book came out, and Ross, one of our patrons, who's been with us since the very beginning, he immediately messaged us and was like, "You guys, the Calming CD is canon."
Thank Edward Cullen for that, because I don't know what I would have done if the Calming CD didn't make it to publication. I'm very imprinted on the CD.
Yes, you are. We talk about it a lot.
We do. So Edward's there, sniffing in the non-Bella air, cleaning his body from its infection.
Like bleach in our veins.
Yes, these are the days of our lives. And then Edward finally gets completely out of the murder thoughts, and he's like, okay, I can just go home. I don't have to kill her. I can make a choice to not murder anybody.
You know what? He thinks that he already made the choice. I really feel like he never got all the way there.
Me too.
He made the choice in class. He's like, I made the choice. There was always a choice. You did it.
Yeah.
You did it, Edward.
You stopped yourself. I mean, the fact that he was able to, like, take pause and even consider alternate options of death, to me means that he was, like, mentally in control of his body, but all those instincts were just very strong.
Yeah, so strong.
He's also like, now I don't have to tell Carlisle and Esme that I killed a bunch of people. That'd be so embarrassing.
Seriously. Imagine having to go home.
With blood all over your body. Mom, Dad, I killed 21 people today.
Edward, sit down on the couch.
Emmett, will you go get the power washer? We need to spray him down. Just out of curiosity. An hour and a half.
No biggie. This has been solid the whole time.
I think so too. Okay, so then Edward finally is like, I don't need to let this girl ruin my stupid life.
You can try. Please.
And he goes, how ironic that I'd wanted to protect this human girl from the paltry, toothless threat of Jessica Stanley's snide thoughts.
Paltry, toothless. Really good.
Really good. And then there's this line here, which I love. He thinks to himself, I was the last person who would ever stand as a protector for Isabella Swan. And that line is completely true, but not in the way that he's intending it right now, but he is the last person who would be standing to protect Bella.
He does. He saves her. Guys, sorry, that was a big spoiler, but man. Edward.
Finally, Edward's like, where the heck is Alice? I just had a complete
I love that it
breakdown.
took him that long to be like, where's Alice? We were doing that a half an hour ago. Alice!
And he's like, didn't she just see the, like, 1.2 million ways I thought about killing this girl? Maybe I'm stronger than I thought.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I think so, Eddie.
He doesn't.
I know. He never can.
No, he thinks he thinks out her thoughts.
Yeah.
He finds her thoughts.
Yeah.
And she's just thinking about Jasper.
This is where I talk about it, though, where I'm like, I still think if Edward's decision had been made, it would have snapped to Alice. Because she can get distracted like that, where all of a sudden it's like, oh, I know she wasn't looking for Edward to, make a decision to kill people. But still, I think you're right. Their bond is strong enough that she would have heard it, and she would have seen it.
Yes.
And also, he didn't make it so snap decision.
Right.
Like, he sat there for a really long time, and I think and all of the different things that went through his head, and then each one he didn't do. If he had decided she would have seen it, she would have gotten there fast enough.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, because we see Alice get, like, interrupted by visions sometimes where she's not, like, actively looking. They just come to her. And also, you know, she might be focused on Jasper, but she's focused on Jasper killing someone, so I feel like she's already kind of in tune for just, like, an accident at the school that day, too. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Edward feels embarrassed about this whole thing.
It is embarrassing.
He's like, I just need to avoid Bella Swan, then I don't have to admit this to anybody. I can try to be the person Carlisle thinks I am.
Oh.
And so he's like, all right, that's it. Time to go change my class schedule.
That's such a hilarious just to change your schedule instead of leave Forks or simply leave high school, like get your GED, drop out, early college, anything.
There's so many things.
But no, I'm just going to go to the office and change my schedule. Edward, you're so stupid.
He's so dumb and we love him.
I love him so much.
So then we get to meet Mrs. Cope.
Oh, she's problematic.
She's super problematic. And, like, I've always just accepted that she's, like, this gross lady. Mm-hmm. And we didn't even really talk about it when we first read through Twilight and Midnight Sun.
I think that we kind of were like, yeah, I get it. But she's much worse than I imagined.
Yes. And in our book club, the girls touched on this so much that I was like...
Even one of our patrons, when I asked for, like, questions for Stephanie, mentioned it, too. Like, they were like, can we talk about how, if she was actually a pedophile, would Edward, like, report her or something? Because she's gross.
She's incredibly disgusting. So he walks in, and she is surprised that he has walked in, and she thinks to herself, silly, he's almost young enough to be my son.
Okay.
And Edward just sums up this, like, disgusting interaction in one word, which is just uncomfortable.
Edward.
It's just, oh,
this is
you.
Like, do they call it throwing up?
Well, he has thrown up before.
I know he has too.
But Edward needs to dazzle her, and so he leans in and looks at her, and he asks if she can help him with his schedule in a soft voice I reserved for not scaring humans.
Cool. Thank you.
She continues to think disgusting thoughts about him, and he's like, can I switch out of biology to, like, a senior science class, maybe physics? And she's like, they're all the most perfect students. They should be in college.
Jeez, okay.
And she's like, no, actually that class is full. And Edward's like, it's me, though. I'm not going to do anything. And she's like, of course you want to be perfect. Perfect, Cullen. She's like, I know, there's just not enough seats. And then he's like, can I just drop it then? And she's like, why would you drop this? Because it's such an easy subject for you. But she says, you won't have enough credits to graduate. And he's like, I don't care. I'll catch up next year. I'll do summer school. I'll give me some packets. I'll finish them this weekend.
Edward's brain is a very interesting place to be. Like, there are 100 smarter options to explore, but whatever. Go ahead and just argue with the secretary.
He could literally just, like, leave, hack the system and just put himself in another class.
I guess, if he's that desperate to stay in high school for some reason, but like, don't.
Yes. Edward then leans in closer and asks, please, Miss Cope, isn't there any other section I could? He smiles at her, but it's not a toothy smile. She thinks to herself again, too young. She's like, well, maybe I can talk to him. But then...
Oh, no.
Another whiffing scent, you guys. Mm-hmm. This girl named Samantha Wells walks in, and would you know it?
I love that Edward knows everybody's name and acknowledges who everybody is. I think it's sweet.
It's one of the things that really stands out to me in these first couple chapters is he calls every other student by their full name.
I love it.
But he calls Bella the girl. So many times. The gust of wind, the whiffing scent, Edward is swirling in Bella's smell again. And Edward considers grabbing Mrs. Cope by the face and slamming her head into the counter hard enough to kill her.
Oh my gosh, Edward!
And this is way better than 20 lives. This is only 2.
A trade.
Easy. But he has a choice. He stops breathing. He imagines his Lord and Savior, Carlisle Cullen, and he says to Miss Cope, "Never mind then, I can see it's impossible. Thanks for your help." And launches himself from the room.
Is this somewhat similar to when Bella launches herself off of the
Yes.
the fountain?
Exactly like that. Edward runs to his car, and all the blings are already there. Edward is gasping for fresh air.
Oh.
Alice is like, Edward!
Edward! Why did you come in the car like that?
Emmett's also alarmed, like, what the hell happened to you? But instead, Edward just speeds out of the parking lot, 40 miles an hour, gets onto the road, 70 miles an hour.
Listen, I know he can read everybody's minds, but that is reckless in Forks.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Everybody's looking at Alice like, what happened to Edward? And Alice
She's
doesn't
like,
know.
Which proves to me that he never made the decision to kill Bella.
Mm-hmm. Alice does a vision check, and she's like, oh, you're leaving? And he's like, am I? And then Edward thinks about killing Bella again, and then she sees Edward killing Bella, and she's like, oh.
And then she sees
Yikes.
Bella at the chief's house in the kitchen with the yellow cupboards, and Edward stalking, and Edward is like, stop it!
I'm trying not to think about that. And then Alice has another vision of Edward just driving away, and she's like, I'll miss you no matter how short a time you're gone. And Emma and Rosalie are just like, what happened?
Jeez.
Alice tells him to pull over, drop them off, they're almost to their house, and tells him to go tell Carlisle, who I'm assuming is at the hospital right now.
How long do you think it would take them, because he's like just on the side of the road, to get the 3 miles to the house?
Half a second.
Okay. I agree.
As we get, Edward gives us some like pretty concrete miles and minutes, and so I've been trying to calculate exactly how fast he can run, and right now there's one more calculation I need to do that I didn't do when I was reading, but I'm around like 350 an hour.
Oh my gosh.
I think that's about Edward's speed.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love that you're doing math also.
I did get out the Google calculate speed calculator
Sweet. Love it.
website.
Very good. That's dedication to your art.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. So they all get out of the cars. Alice tells Edward to do the right thing. And she uses the same thing that she is telling Jaspire?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Charlie... she's Charlie Swan's only family. It would kill him too.
Oh, the chief. It truly would.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Edward's just like, yep. Bye. And Edward still feels very undecided, and he's like, Alice's visions are going to be switching from like me leaving to me killing Bella, just like a strobe light. And he speeds back to Forks, and he's like, I don't know if I'm on my way to go talk to Carlisle or if I'm on my way to Bella's house. And that is our chapter.
Oh my gosh.
That was so long.
Edward! No? I would talk about Edward for 4 hours in a row.
I mean, nothing new there, honestly.
Oh my gosh, really good, really good. He is so good. He's I'm like Alice, where I'm like, you'll make the right decision.
Me too.
You're good.
I have full, total trust
Yep.
in Edward.
All right.
Our baby, our angel, he's here, and you're going to talk about him for the next 30 weeks.
What a joy.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Very looking forward to it.
All right.
Well, thank thank you guys for remembering
Midnight Sun!
My cheeks.
Literally.
Hurt.
My mouth just filled with venom.
Oh my gosh. Thank you to everyone who is here listening to us right now.
It's been so fun. We've had so much fun, like, since Midnight Sun arrived at all of our houses, doing, just talking with our listeners about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's like a whole place where we've been sharing spoilers. I've read every single one of them, even though I haven't finished the book yet. There's a whole place where there's non-spoilers, like, and we've been able to, like, really bond with people over this. Like, Emily's a part of that book club, and people have been emailing me. People who don't even listen are emailing me and talking to me about it and seeing if we enjoy it, and it's just been amazing, and so many more amazing things are coming up.
Oh my gosh, you guys have no idea. Hopefully it'll be out soon so we can tell you about it.
Man.
But
anyway, yes, thank you so much for joining us and for being our people.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Anything else? All right, you guys, we are excited to join you again next week for Chapter 2 of Midnight Sun. And remember, your psychic sister is not going to see you kill somebody until you actually make the decision to kill them. Cool. Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye. Oh man. I just pulled on my headphones.
Oh no.
Team Edward.